I thought about it, and I had this vision of like me being a makeup artist and being successful. It was just, you have the apartment that you love, you're a successful makeup artist, you drive a beautiful car. That's the vision.
I love it.
hmm
Jasmine,
Yeah.
look at that.
And so when
Huh.
I finally made it here, it was a big deal. It was a big
Wow.
deal.
Sorry. It's discontinued. Welcome to Sorry, It's Discontinued. I'm Hilary, your host, and I'm so glad you're here. Now, before we get into it with my amazing guest today, I want to share a story. I was 33 when I had a moment at work I'll never forget. My grandmother was turning 90, and family from all over the country was getting together in Ohio to celebrate her life. I had 2 young daughters, 7 and 4. I was married and working part-time in cosmetics, and I loved my job. I followed protocol and loved my team. I loved my brand. And I put in my request for my time off so we could be there for this special event, just a long weekend. But this manager called me into his office one day. He smiled, but there was a coldness in the way he said, Valentine's weekend, it's huge, and we need you here. Then he looked at me, right at my chest, and told me, if you value your job, you'll be there to support your counter. I was stunned. I was frustrated and disgusted. It was emotional blackmail with a hint of perversion. I worked hard, and I was always a team player. I loved my job, my team, everything about it. And at that moment, I felt the pressure so many of us do in retail, the pressure to choose your job over your personal life. But I chose myself. And I got so sick that weekend, and I've never regretted it. But these kind of moments happen more often than we admit. The truth is, yes, the store needs you. They hired you for a reason. There are goals to meet. The team counts on you. It's your work family. But there has to be a balance. There has to be respect, humanity, and a manager who understands that life is short, and honoring your personal life, it doesn't make you less professional. And thankfully, I've had some great managers that recognize that as I grew in this business. But that experience, it taught me that you can value your work and still advocate for your worth. This story, it popped into my mind as I started thinking about my next guest and writing her introduction. She is someone who knows all too well of the importance of being your own advocate, finding your voice. Jazmine. Jazmine is someone who knows how to fight for her mental health and how to speak up when the pressure to stay quiet, to do what you're told, it's almost immobilizing. Jazmine, she's one of my favorite people. She's from New York City and got her start studying hair at the Aveda Institute there. She worked at renowned salons like the Hirschberger Salon, Yves de Reef, helping countless of influential people from around the world. Eventually, she felt called to change her life and moved to Houston. Here in Houston, she continued to make her mark. She worked full-time as a manager at Morphe, which led to a role at Gucci and Saks. And that's where I met her. And eventually, a bold switch into men's luxury fashion at a powerhouse luxury store in the Galleria changed everything. Her talent and dedication, it hasn't gone unnoticed. She's been promoted again and again, making a powerful name for herself in just a few short years. Jazmine has a love of her mom and sister, the support of her friends and family, and a quiet strength that shows up in everything she does. Anyone who meets her is lucky to call her a friend. I know, because that's how I feel. So have a seat. Let's sit down with Jazmine. I can't wait for you to meet her, and let's get into it. Official, because this is going to happen. I am so excited that Jazmine is here with me today. Welcome to Sorry, It's Discontinued. I am so glad you're here.
I've made it. I feel like I've made it. This is my first podcast. Hello.
I'm sure one of many. You
I'm
know.
so honored to be here.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm honored to have you. And your story, just kind of getting into just coming from New York into Houston, we're definitely going to talk about that. But I first want to ask you about your day. How is your day today? It's your
My
day
day
off.
is good. I'm able to like, relax now, but life of a makeup artist, sun up to sundown, but it's rewarding work, so we feel pretty good. These
Good.
are the moments that I live for when everything is done and I can just sit and unwind and
Yeah.
just being, sitting in my seat just feels like heaven right now.
I totally know what you mean with
Yeah.
that because I feel the same way. Like after I've done makeup for an event or going to somebody, a client's house or what have you, and then you're done, even just packing up my stuff. Of course,
Yeah.
it's not like organized. I just throw it all in the thing and like I'll do it later.
Oh, I'm not turning the camera around. If I turn like you see we have a nice square that you can see. If I turn this camera around, it looks like World War III in here.
Oh, and is there makeup everywhere?
Oh my god, there's hair tools, makeup, glue cuz I was rushing. So I was just throwing things across the counter and so I literally am confined to this little square that I'm
That's
talking
okay.
to you in.
I'm thankful for a square. I
Yes.
like it. Yeah, if you could turn the camera around, you would see cups and like dishes and
Yeah.
my laundry.
Yeah.
And then my makeup station, it's got crap everywhere, but
And you know what? It's your mess, and that's
it's my
okay.
mess. I
Uh-huh.
love my mess. I'm so
That's how I
thankful
feel.
for it.
You know what the cool thing is like about being out here in Houston living on my own is that like I made a mess, yes, but like I clean it when I want to.
Yeah. There's
I'll
something
clean it when I
so
want to.
liberating about that.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
like it's
we're not messy people.
yeah,
We're clean and like having things organized.
right.
But sometimes I'll just be like, I'll fold my laundry tomorrow or next week, y'all, and that's okay.
I've got a load in the dryer right now that's been in there for a couple days now, and it's gonna stay there until I'm ready.
It's nice and fresh and clean. It's ready
Yeah,
whenever you are.
whatever I need, I just grab it from the
Whenever you
dish
need it.
from the dryer.
Okay, so you're from New York. Yes.
NYC.
I would bust out that Alicia Keys song, but I don't want to get in trouble.
We need all the coins we can get. Sorry, Alicia. You won't be making no money off of us.
So, well, you grew up in New York, like in Manhattan or around New York. Where are you from, Jazmine? Tell
So
me about
I
it.
was born on a wonderful November 10th Saturday in Brooklyn, New York. In more specifically, because a lot of people don't know. So you have your boroughs, which are
Okay.
like what you can consider your cities. And then within those cities, there are neighborhoods. So I was born in a little neighborhood in Brooklyn called East New York. And everyone probably knows what that is because if you've ever flown into JFK, it
Okay.
is the first neighborhood in Brooklyn that you come across when you are trying to make your way to the city.
Wow.
So, born and raised, I did spend some time in North Carolina, very, very short time. I hated it. And then went back to New York. And I'd been there until I moved here to Houston. So, absolutely
Wow.
love my city. I miss it all the time, but there have been better opportunities for me here. So, I
Yeah.
think I'm where I
So,
need to be.
yeah. Well, with that smile, it seems like it's working right now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
when you were in Brooklyn and going to school, so it was like elementary, was there junior high or did you go from elementary to high school or because I know in Ohio where I'm from, we had elementary school, 2 years middle school or junior high and then high school for
So,
4 years.
funny, I went to it was a Christian school called Bethlehem Baptist Academy, and it was from nursery all the way up to 8th grade. From basically when you're like 1 or 2 up to when you graduate 8th grade, it was just this one school. So in New York, they typically do have like, elementary, junior high, high school, but a lot of the
Yeah.
times the elementary and junior high is in the same building. So
Oh,
you
I
really
see.
don't like, get to move around a lot. And then also too, like there's zoning laws, right? So
Yeah.
you have to go to school wherever I guess your quote unquote zone is. And so for me, I went from being sheltered all those years and then being thrown into high school. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
And
did
and
you
really
have
like when you go to high school in New York, going to high school in New York is like going to college, right? So like your friends, like I see in the South here, like the middle school that you go to kind of has a corresponding high school. It wasn't
mm,
like that. You basically take a test like you're taking the SATs, and then you get chosen by high schools. So
oh,
your
I see.
friends that you've had all those years, you probably won't go to school with them unless you get into that
Aw.
school.
You're
Yeah.
starting over with
Yeah.
new
With new
people,
people.
new teachers,
Yep.
new I don't know,
Yep.
just as new students around you. Was it
Mhm.
scary? Did you feel
Mhm.
intimidated?
Oh my god, so intimidated. And then too,
Yeah.
like I guess I'm what you would call a late bloomer. And I grew up very shy, and nobody believes that. And so I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. And
Yeah, it's
so
hard for me to believe because you're so lovable
I
and so
found my
magnetic.
way. I found my way. Thank you. But
Yeah.
I was very shy. I kind of kept to myself, and I was like considered an ugly duckling. So, kids weren't so nice. And
Yeah.
so going into high school, it really was a time for me to come into myself,
Yeah.
and that I did for sure. Yeah.
So, looking at your freshman year, sophomore year, and then your junior and senior years, did you feel like you all of a sudden it kind of hit you like, "I can do this," or were you just ready to get out of school and move on to the next chapter? Like, did you get a chance to start to enjoy it, get a little more confidence, have more friends, or was it really just, "Let's just get through this and we're moving to the next step"?
I think I definitely became more social, I will say.
Yeah.
But I think that high school was kind of like the time where I started to learn how to like do my own makeup, doing my own hair. Like I was developing more of a personality.
Mm.
And so I think like it's two sides of the same coin, because at one point I was just like, let's get out of here because I hated going to school. But on the other side, like I loved getting dressed up and going to school, and I had so many different kinds of sneakers, and I was starting to
Aw.
get highlights in my hair at the time, and I was getting my nails done and everything like that.
Wow.
And so I look back on that time and I'm just like, wow, like that really started where like I became the person I am right now.
Well, that's one of my questions is when did your spark of beauty and like fashion, cosmetology, styling, when did that all start to come out and you really fell in love with it? And that would have been in
Oh
high
man,
school
it
or
was like since I was like 10. Since
Aw.
I was 10, I wish I could insert a picture here. There's a photo of me, like I was 10 years old and it was Christmas, and I asked for makeup, and and it was like this, they got me some like kitty makeup thing or whatever. And I used it and I put on that eyeshadow and that lipstick, and I
Oh,
looked
so cute.
ridiculous.
But you
But
loved it.
oh my God, I looked amazing. I put on my blue eyeshadow and my pink lipstick. And then from there, I was like unstoppable. And then from that time on, like I would play in my grandmother's makeup in the bathroom, like if I could.
Yeah. Did you
And,
mind it or did you have to sneak it?
I would have to sneak it. It was like red lipstick and things like that. And so when I got into high school is when I was able to really, say, okay, I'm going to wear lip liner. I'm going to wear, and it wasn't a big deal because, I was almost an adult. And so,
Yeah.
but it's always been in me since I was a kid. I think when I got to high school is when I was able to play around with stuff.
Yeah.
That's when like the experimental phase began. And I look back on those pictures and I'm like, experiment you did.
We're gonna try this look and
Oh my
that look. But
God,
that's, when you're in high school, that's one of the fun things. I mean,
yeah,
at the time, it's
yeah,
like mortifying when
right,
you mess up or because I cut my bangs one time and it was when
yeah.
like skater punk was like early 90s,
Yeah.
and then I would fan them and then I had my hair that would fall into my eyes. So I was like always doing this move.
Oh my God.
My parents crazy. But, I
Yeah.
felt like I looked cool,
Yeah.
but then, I didn't. Well, okay, so after high school, you went from there into, like, cosmetology school, or
Mhm.
you studied it in college, or so
Um,
what was the next, journey for you?
so after high school, I went to college because I grew up in a family of people that believe that academics or no way at all.
Yeah.
And I never really like did good in school. So I got into some like college in the South that pretty much accepts everybody. And I went away for college, like just to say that I went. And I think
Which
those
that
years,
would have been intimidating too, going to a different state, and I
yeah.
know it was where your grandma was?
So my grandmother was in North Carolina,
Oh, okay.
but our family is from South Carolina. So that's where our roots are. So it wasn't really like far fetched for me to be in South Carolina because like she was super close. And then my dad lives in South Carolina as well. So
Where in South Carolina?
he lives in Orangeburg, but the school I went to is in Sumter.
Okay. My brother lives in, Pawleys Island.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and then my
South Carolina's fun.
yeah,
It's
like,
really,
south of
you want
Myrtle
a
Beach.
getaway, go to Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
So I ended up going to that school and I think I learned a lot there. But now in hindsight, in my 30s, I'm like, huge waste of time. I could have like been doing something else. You know what I'm saying? But I did it because like I wanted to make my family happy. But that was the time the beauty stuff went into full gear. Man, like I was like putting people's eyelashes on before they went to the club. I was doing people's hair, like
Were you doing, like, freelancing, you mean? Like, you set up appointments, or you were helping, like, support your friends, like, before they went out, or
doing it for free. I had no business mindset back then. I was
I think
doing
you're
it
your
for
worst critic, though. Like, you've always been pretty, hard on yourself with that. You're, like, such an I mean, I know you see that now, but back then, I'm sure you're whipping out some good lashes.
yeah. I was and I should have been charging people.
Yeah.
In hindsight, now that I'm like in my 30s, I'm just like, if I have a daughter, I'm gonna be so like, oh, she's not gonna have to worry about anything. Like, if
Yeah.
she gets into hair and makeup, okay, this is how much you're gonna charge. This is what you're gonna do. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So
So after school and you went back to New York, when was your move? No, I want to get into your working in Manhattan. You were working at a like a beauty boutique, or I forget what it was, but it was something in Manhattan. You were
yeah.
doing makeup and all kinds of fun stuff.
So here's the tea. I dropped out of college. Surprise, surprise.
I did too.
And I going to
Dropped out of college, sisters right here, so it's okay.
yeah. And then I went to beauty school. Um,
Okay.
and I went to the Aveda Institute of New York. It was a quick program, 7 months. And I originally went to be a makeup artist. And then when I got there, I found that they didn't have a makeup program. And I had already paid $20,000 in tuition.
Oh.
And my mom was like,
Hui, hui.
so,
You're going.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
And
Aveda.
I want to do hair, I want to do makeup. So, long story short, I ended up doing hair. I believe my first job was Sally Hershberger Salon.
Okay.
Sally Hershberger is the woman that is responsible for
The actress from Sally Met Harry, like the short hair.
Meg Ryan. Uh huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went to work at that salon. I was a shampoo girl and a
Wow, that's fascinating.
colorist. And um I ended up moving to another salon called Eve DeReef Salon.
Okay.
And that is where I stayed for years as an assistant. And then I became a junior stylist. So that was really fun. I think that was like my favorite job in New York. It was basically like you're working with the women of the Upper East Side, right? Like the
Oh,
who's who of the Upper East Side.
that's
Along with
so
that,
fun.
so many exciting things happened while I was working there. Like the Royals came to town. That was the first time Kate and what's that man's name?
William?
William. That was the first time they ever came to New York. They stayed in that hotel where
Wow.
she came in and she got her hair blown out.
Were
Hmm.
you there when she
I
was
was.
there? You were
Hmm.
in the same room?
I was. Yeah. So I've seen some like really cool things. Like I've come across some really cute, like cool people. Scarlett Johansson. What's the girl that plays Hermione? Hermione on Harry Potter.
Emma Watson.
Emma Watson came
Oh,
in.
she's so nice.
And then what's the other girl that played in The Breakfast Club?
Ali Sheedy.
Was it?
Molly Ringwald.
Molly Ringwald would come in all the time. Vera Wang used to come in all the time. She would get her hair colored.
So did you take care of, or you were helping, or you were, because you were a stylist at that time?
Well, so by the time I got to know all of those people, I was still a assistant, and
Okay.
then toward the end is when I got my chair and I was a stylist. So I personally never got to color any famous person's hair, but I did get to wash their hair. So
No.
yeah, that was like that was enough for me. So and then who else? Just the undercover people of like all of your favorite magazines. So Amy
Yeah.
Collins with Vanity Fair and so many other people that do really cool things in New York. And I think at the time, like I didn't know how big of a deal it was what I was doing because I was
Yeah.
trying to go to work and make like, get those tips and go home.
Yeah. Like,
But
let's make some money. I'm just in making some money,
yeah.
going home.
But it definitely like put me in a position where I am today.
Aw. Well, what a great experience. Because, you work with people who are used to having their hair and makeup done, and they have to look a certain way for their profession,
Yeah.
or they're out in the public. That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Even a newer stylist.
Yeah.
So that would really prepare you
Right.
for your next adventure, which is moving from New York to Houston.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, how old were you when you made that big move?
I was turning 31.
31, the big 3-1.
Yeah, the pandemic was happening
Okay,
and
so this was 2020?
it was in 2020. Um, by the time 2021 rolled around, we were still in the pandemic,
Mhm.
but we were coming out of it a little bit and we had gotten like all that money from
Support and
the
help when, yeah, you couldn't find a job.
stimulus checks.
Yes.
It's like, okay, let's do something with this, right? And so
Yeah.
thought about it. And because at the time I was really depressed, like I wasn't happy. I was still living with my mom, even
Mhm.
though like, I was doing all these amazing things. I just like didn't have my life together and it was just really hard for me to be able to focus on one thing. And
Yeah.
so
Well,
I
that's a big
decided
deal if you're living with mom. Mom was still in Brooklyn.
right, right,
So
right,
you'd
right.
have to take the train and go into Manhattan, and that's what, like an hour
Well,
from.
it depends on where you're going to, but sometimes it was an hour, hour and a half. But then
Yeah.
there was, also some stuff going on with my mom that like didn't afford me the opportunity to be able to just think about myself completely.
Yeah.
And so me moving to Houston was really just a way for me to be able to have my own space, have my own time, and my time actually be mine and be
Yeah.
able to focus on my career the way that I needed to without any interruptions or distractions. And
Yeah.
so when I was, about the year that I was going to turn 31, I decided to move out here to Houston. And it was a huge thing. Like I believe in God. And so I was at a point where I was so depressed and I was just like, praying one day and I was just like, all right, like, what do you want me to do? I'm like,
Mhm.
whatever you want me to do, I will do it. I just want to be happy. So, like, what
Yeah.
is it? Where are we going? What are we doing? And
I
I
need
heard
some
clear,
guidance.
it could have been me. Maybe I'm paranoid, but it was just like, move to Houston.
Had it been something that you had thought about before, like Houston had kind of popped in there and you were kind of thinking about it, or it was just all of a sudden this aha
So,
moment?
I've been to Houston before and I knew I liked it. And I was like, it's a little bit of like the suburbs, but it's also city, it's a little country. And I was like, I could get with that. I could get jiggy with that?
I cannot believe you just said I
Yeah.
could jiggy with that. That was the best. This is the best phrase.
Yeah. And so I decided, I was like, you know what? it crossed my mind a few times that Houston was like the place that I would want to live.
Yeah.
Did I ever think that I would actually go through with it in this lifetime? No. Because, fun fact, I'm a scaredy cat. Everything scares me. Taking chances scares me. I hate, you know,
Change?
change. I mean, I like change. I just don't like not knowing what's on the other side if I do take that chance.
You like a plan?
I like, I no, not necessarily, because it's
Okay.
like, I want to know that if I move to Houston, I want to know if you tell me I'm going to be successful if I move to Houston, I need physical proof that I'm going to be successful,
Yeah, that makes sense.
you know, as
Yeah.
opposed to like when you just kind of like throw yourself out there and, you just leave it up to God and you decide, okay, I'm just going to trust you and just go on this path and,
Yeah.
everything works out. It's
Just throw
fine.
caution to the wind. Let's just do
Right.
it. And
Right.
that's what you did.
That's what I did.
Wow.
And I'm not usually the person that would do that because, I mean, there were so many factors to me moving to Houston, right? I have
Yeah.
a family that's overbearing, right? So I got to tell them that I'm doing this. And then on top of that, I don't have a lot of money. I don't have an
Mm,
apartment. I don't have a plan. I don't know what I'm going to do. I just know I'm moving to Houston, right?
yeah.
But when I asked God about it and that came to me, I had this vision of like me being a makeup artist, being successful. Like it was just you have the apartment that you love, you're a successful makeup artist, you drive a beautiful car. Like that's the vision.
I love it.
Hmm.
Jasmine,
Yeah.
look
And,
at that.
and so, when
Yeah.
I finally made it here, it was a big deal. It was a big deal
Wow.
because when you have like a vision of the future, the journey is not always going to look like the destination.
Of course.
And that is one thing I don't think I prepared myself for, was that the journey
Mm,
was not going to look like the destination.
yeah. You wouldn't be able to, you wouldn't know what to expect, but you kind of get an idea. And when it turns out different, especially when you look back on your path and journey,
Yeah.
like how it's kind of taken you to where you are. It does feel like there's something more to it, to all of it.
Right. New York.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I can relate to the South feeling very comforting being from Ohio. And when I moved to Texas, it just felt right.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah.
Plus, I won a lottery scratch off bingo ticket for
Yeah.
like $50 that
Yeah.
had never happened before. And it was like, okay, that's a good sign. After you moved to Houston, is that when I met you? Is that how soon after did we meet? Because I can't remember. I just feel like I've known you
So
forever.
I know, right? It feels like we met about a year after I moved to Houston, maybe a little under a year, because when I moved here, I started working at Morphe.
Okay.
And then from there, I went to Nordstrom. And so from Nordstrom, I went to Saks. So I probably say like maybe a year.
Okay. I
Yeah.
forgot you were at Morphe.
I was
Oh,
at,
I love that store.
yeah.
I was probably in there when you were in there and shopping and looking around. Did you enjoy working at Morphe?
Morphe was cool. Morphe, I think for me, like was just a place for me to hone in my artistry skills and
Yeah.
being able to play around with makeup at a different price point and really get that artistry part down. I really enjoyed that. And then I also became a manager at Morphe. So that was cool. And so I think it was like a little peek into what life would be like for me here because
Yeah.
I started working there and then like 4 months after I got promoted, which was crazy.
If you look at your path,
Yeah.
not to go too far in the future to what you're doing now, because I want to get into the middle, but
Yeah.
you literally did the same thing. Did you recognize that? You go from one thing to like bloop, bloop, bloop,
Yeah, literally.
and now I'm a manager.
And it's so crazy because it's like I wish I was more confident in myself because it happens for me and I'm just like I don't deserve it. But it's like,
Obviously you do.
I'm like that good at my job. Maybe,
You were good.
maybe
You were so good,
I
and you're personable, and
think either one, because
yeah, people
there are
connect with
people that
you.
think so.
Okay, so Morphe, what was the next one?
So from there, it was Gucci
And then Gucci.
and
Okay.
Gucci.
Wow. And
Yeah,
that's when we met.
that is when we met. Yes, 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 yes. Was there anything in between? No, it was Morphe and Gucci. Yep.
Yeah. I remember when you were working, you would have a lot of clients that would come and look for you because of your artistry skills. You would have appointments. You were always ready to go with different colors. Because one of the great things about working at Saks is that, like a lot of the department stores now, you can connect with other brands and use what they have if your brand doesn't have it. They support the
Yeah,
selling outside of your line,
yeah,
which I know, of course, with that time was really helpful because the stock challenge
yeah,
was not fun.
yeah,
You just had such great makeup applications or appointments that you would do. And people that seemed to come into your life, you afterwards, you were like, oh, that person was, you remember like you met the photographer in like the shoe department or something, and you had been thinking about, I want to meet a
yeah.
photographer. And then like the same day or something, met this like famous photographer.
Right.
You just say it and it happens.
Yeah, yeah. It's the crazy thing. That's why I have to watch what I say.
Yeah.
I have to watch what I say. Yeah,
True manifester
yeah.
there.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah.
The things that I think of and the things that I want, they happen, and for some reason, I can't believe it.
Yeah. Well, you absolutely deserve it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you are just one of my favorite artists. And I'm curious when you were working at Morphe and working at Saks and doing the makeup at Gucci and so on, what were some of your favorite memories there?
My favorite memories running to the Tom Ford counter every chance I got to bother you and Jaylene. That was the highlight of my day. Because honestly, after we started having stock issues and then that whole shebang came around of, well, sell everything. No, I'm selling what's at my counter.
Yeah, that
So
is a challenge for,
from that point, it wasn't fun for me
yeah,
anymore. I just wasn't having fun anymore. So
yeah.
you know,
It's usually like the universe is kind of like, okay, so this step was great, but
yeah,
we're going to go to this next one.
right, exactly. It's always how it goes. It's
Yeah.
like my favorite memory, honestly. Yeah.
Oh,
You know what else too?
well,
You remember we would have like those women, what is it, tidbits?
yeah, the Tidbits group,
You remember that?
Houston. Yeah, they come and I don't know if they're still doing, they probably are because it's like a social media group. I apologize, I don't know very much about it other than they would come once or twice a year to Saks and we would have the bags and like the goodies. And then you watch them like, go crazy for that. What were you there that day that we did the piñatas?
Yes. I was just, do you remember the pinata? And they were on the floor
I know.
for
I
some
felt like
deluxe.
are we at a children's birthday party or is this just they
They
just
were
wanted the
rolling
goodies?
along the floor for deluxe samples. They weren't
There
even,
were some good samples in there. So I mean I can't hold it against them. I mean I get it. There's a La Mer cream on the
yeah.
floor, a little deluxe.
I'm going to elbow somebody's kid if there's a American way.
Oh,
You know?
that was some good times.
Yeah.
When you left Saks, was it right to the luxury boutique where you're working now, or was there a middle spot,
Nope, it was straight into that boutique.
like luxury boutique
Mm-hmm.
in Houston?
Mm-hmm.
So you started in women's clothing and handbags, shoes, like all of it.
So I actually started in men's clothing.
Was that really challenging? Like, how was
You
that?
know, it wasn't because I like to think I'm a little masculine sometimes too. Along with men really well. I'm into style and fashion. So I have a pretty good eye when it comes to like putting outfits together. I meshed into that role really well. It was just, yeah, I was just picking out clothes. Men will get what you tell them to get. That's just who they are. Because a lot of them
Yeah.
can't dress themselves, and so they value a woman's opinion.
Yeah.
And then this year is when I moved into women's side.
Do you feel that the women's and the men's department, there was a lot of differences? Is it more
Yeah,
challenging in women's?
yeah.
'Cause
Wait.
women, where a lot of people know what they like and very specific,
So
and
here's
whereas the men were
and
more casual.
like that's the challenging part is that you have women that come in and it could take them 2 hours to decide on a bag,
Mm,
take them 2 hours to decide on an outfit, and they don't care. You
yeah.
They don't think about the person that's on the other side of this transaction. That person that's making commission, you're spending 2 hours with them and then you decide, no, maybe not today.
Yeah, I'll just wait on it. Yeah. Thank you for
So
your
like
time.
they can be really indecisive, which is different from men because men are like, they'll come in, hey, I need an outfit for this concert. And you're like, okay, here's the shoes, here's the pants, here's the shirt. They're leaving with something.
Yeah.
They always do.
Yeah.
Very rare that they come in and like, oh, not today. Women, it happens more often than you think.
The boutique, are they less acceptable of returns? Like how are returns like managed, or is it just you decide if you're not sure, then just think about it? Because a
So
lot of people in styling, they don't want to be aggressively
yeah,
pushy. You want the client to get what they really want. But
right,
sometimes there are those clients
right,
that just wanna get something for the evening and then maybe bring it back, which
right.
I didn't even think about, and I'd interviewed Philip, and he was like, "Oh, yeah, that happens."
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's 30 days with the receipt. It has to be in complete sellable condition. I think for me personally, with a policy like that, if I need to go home and look at this bag for a little bit, then I can do that because I'm not really wearing it out. And
Yeah, you can really kinda think about it.
right. But some women, they don't like that, right? You want to be able to take your stuff home and then that's that. So, the
Yeah.
return policy I think is really good because these are not cheap items. So if you're going
Yeah.
to return it, we need to be able to resell it.
Well, it makes sense because you guys it's strictly commission,
Right.
correct? Or is it hourly and commission?
Right. But not only that, like these are not items that we can just damage out and say, okay, well, send it back to the warehouse.
Yeah. Do you guys get a lot of clients that come back with being in higher end retail or working for a luxury boutique? Is it easier to have a client book because people develop that relationship with you, especially for a high price merchandise where you
Uh-huh.
really have to trust your
Yeah.
salesperson
Yeah.
and they're not just selling you, but they genuinely want you to get what you like?
Yeah, yeah. It does have its challenges when
Yeah.
it comes to building a client book because you want to have all types of clients, but there are other factors that go into the job that you do, right? So it's not just being here to service the client. You got other things you got to think about. You have a goal to make for the month, right? You have
Hmm.
certain KPIs that you have to hit.
Wait, what's a KPI?
Key performance indicators.
Oh,
So think cross sale, conversion, things like that. You want to also have a client book that will help you reach those goals.
say a client wants an outfit, but she also needs shoes and then she's going on a trip. So let's get her like a duffel bag,
Yeah. So if
things
you
like that.
every
Yeah.
client matters. You have some clients that will just waste your time. If you're texting me and you're just like, oh, I want a scarf. Can you show me every scarf that you have? You're taking up hours for a scarf,
I actually did that once.
you know?
I had a customer, she was looking for a scarf. And I was so excited to sell a scarf because I hadn't sold one. I took videos, I tried them on, took pictures, and it was like an hour and a half of my time. And then
Yeah.
she's like, let me think about it. And she was a long time client. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, she probably knew, well, we're just gonna wait and I'll maybe order it from, like New York or something.
And that's like a
That's great.
face after you spent all that time with them. And then it's
Yeah.
no, no thanks.
Yeah. So it's being considerate of the
Yeah.
salesperson you're
Right.
working with, of
Right.
their time, and understanding that they're on commission. Are you happy right now, like with all of the exciting new things? I am so excited for you.
Thank you.
There's so much going on and to be continued.
Yeah.
on your new adventures,
Yeah.
but the fact that you're with the company, that it's just like loving on you, really appreciating your hard work. I'm just excited to see you doing this stuff,
Thank you.
Doing
Yeah.
great.
So I'm excited. I feel really good about it. I still do have my moments where I have my doubts. I'll get imposter syndrome of why did they pick me? Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And then you compare yourself to other people. But I'm trying to coach myself into being a little more confident, saying, hey, you know what? I do deserve this and I'm gonna
Mhm.
do well. I'm in this position for a reason. And honestly, if all else fails, you know what? God did it. God put me in this position. That's it. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
maybe I don't have to work as hard as the next person. And it just comes to me because that is who my creator is.
You're all of your hard work and your faith in God and everything that, you've done on this journey, you do deserve it.
Thank
You
you.
have earned it,
Thank you. Thank you.
you know?
Thank you.
'Cause there was many a nights that you wouldn't get a lot of sleep because you had
Yeah.
to wake up early in the morning, do makeup, go
Hmm.
to work,
Hmm.
and, case in point today, get your day off,
Man.
doing all that because that lasted what? You said 11 till when right before we started this?
Yeah.
What time did you finish?
I
At 5?
5:55.
Oh my gosh. You literally finished and then you turned on the camera.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so 11 to 6, basically.
I love.
Hair
Yeah.
extensions and makeup. You're a trooper, true makeup artist.
And might I add, it was a girl that had curly hair, so I had to braid her hair down.
Well, she was in good hands. And I want you to have time to relax and enjoy your night because do you work tomorrow?
I do work tomorrow. I think I work at 12, so I get to sleep in.
Oh, good. I want to transition into products. So the podcast is called Sorry, It's Discontinued. Are there any products, beauty, hair, skincare products that you had loved and have you ever found a replacement? And if you can't think of anything or even just a trend that's going on right now is fine.
You know what? Nikita Dragon's color corrector. God, I just wish he wouldn't have gone to jail and went off the deep end.
I don't know that story, but I'm going to
So,
Google.
Nikita Dragon was a influencer.
Okay.
And so Morphe was famous for working with a lot of influencers. And so Nikita
Right.
Dragon sold her beauty brand out of Morphe. And so when she went down, like the brand went down too.
Uh,
Those color correctors are to die for.
what was so great about them? Like,
Um,
was it in a palette or were there
the
just
colors
different
were
colors? You
spot
buy them individually?
the colors were spot on for what you needed for a color corrector. The formula was a hit. Like it just did what I needed it to do. And oh my God, all of her lipsticks and lip colors. Oh my gosh. Like just that whole line, really, to be honest.
It was
Yeah,
beautiful.
lips and then pretty much like prep stuff. So she didn't really get into like foundation or anything like that. But like the
Mhm.
essentials that you need to do a good makeup application is everything that she had on her line. I mean, she
Her primer, her color
the powder
correctors.
puffs, like she had all the things. And she
Yeah.
went and she blew it for me. And like I'm just like,
Well, maybe it could come back,
I hope she get it together.
Yeah, I hope so too. Now, for a color corrector, do you like something that has kind of a soft matte finish? I tried recently the kimchi color corrector.
Uh-huh.
It's really, the name is so fun. Oh, Undercover Hoe. And there's different shades for these different palettes. And of course, I got the very white, one. It has great pigments, but it's very creamy.
Yeah.
So, and I don't like a lot of powder.
Yeah.
And so when I go to use it, I'll put a little like around my eyes or
Yeah.
where I need it. My question to you is like for color correctors, do you put it on and then you blend your foundation and a little powder on top, or how do you like to do it?
I just do the color corrector and then I'll put like a little powder on it just to keep it in place, like a
Yeah.
very, very thin layer of translucent powder, and then kind of go from there. Love a good color corrector. I think they're so important because, a lot of the times when we're doing makeup, a lot of people don't know you should dermaplane your skin and they don't shadow here. So, like,
Yeah.
it's just great for everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Um, Before we go, is there anything you would say to someone who's getting into this business in fashion or hair and luxury, beauty, luxury, retail? Is there anything that you would say or that's on your heart? Wait, say that again.
I would say just go for it.
Yeah.
You can do it. You have the desire for it, which means that you'll take the time to learn your craft and put in the work, put in the knowledge that you need to be able to grow and go in the path and the direction that you want to. And cut out the noise. There's going to be people that have something to say about what you're doing, but who cares?
Yeah, just listen to your
Listen to your inner voice, because had I not listened to my inner voice, I wouldn't be going to Paris next week.
Oh no, she did it! Oh, so excited for you.
And it's so crazy because that just popped into my head too. I think that was so profound what I just said to myself. If I had not listened to my inner voice, if I had not gone for what I felt like I could do, following my creative passion, I wouldn't be going to Paris next week.
Yeah.
All expenses paid.
Yes. Oh, that's so good. Oh, that's how I feel with this podcast, because the goal really was just being able to sit with people I love, people that I haven't met before, show them love, who work in the retail industry that don't get a lot of love. But thank you for doing this.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being on Sorry It's Discontinued.
Now I want another episode.
Well, I was, how like in People magazine and different places, they'll have the, where are they now?
Yeah.
So maybe we'll do that.
Yeah.
Because I realized I never asked Cole what his favorite discontinued product was.
Yeah.
And Jaylene, I had editing issues for her first episode and cut out this chunk of a story that made me cry. And then I deleted it by accident. Yeah. So anyway, I want to have you back.
I'm already returning.
So I love you so much and enjoy your night. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of Sorry It's Discontinued. If you love hearing about the real voices from behind the counter, be sure to follow the show, leave a review, or share this episode with another fan of fashion, fragrance, or just anything retail. And if you've got a story to tell or an idea for a future episode, I'd love to hear from you. Just head to sorryitsdiscontinued.com. Send me a message. This podcast is independently produced and not affiliated with or sponsored by any brands or companies or retail stores mentioned. All stories and opinions are personal and reflect the views of the individual speaking. We speak honestly, but this space is meant to be respectful of the brands, stores, and careers we've all worked hard for. This show is about connection, the challenges of working in this industry, but also the inspiration we get from each other. So until next time, thank you for being here. Remember, a smile can brighten someone's day, whether you're behind the counter or in front of it. I can't wait to have a seat with you the next episode. Bye. Sorry. It's discontinued.